Yeah, and if you missed last week's episode, you definitely got to catch last week's episode. What we're doing is a continuation of a conversation we had at Loan Officer Breakfast Club. If you're not sure what that is, go to loanofficerbreakfastclub.com. Frank, we do a morning show at 8:30 to 9 a.m. By the way, who wouldn't know what Loan Officer Breakfast Club is?
I would
But I
hope
mean,
everyone would
if
know by
if
now.
not, go to loanofficerbreakfastclub.com, a free gift.
Sure.
Hundreds and hundreds of loan
Yeah.
officers every morning. And we had a conversation about why realtors ghost you and
Yeah.
how to fix it. And then what a cool resource. We have a great resource for everybody, just actually it's a two-page document and what you can do about it. So last week we talked about leading the conversation when you have an initial conversation with agents, talking about products and really just not listening and
Hmm.
talking too much, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So great conversation around that.
Yeah, it was. It was super cool. Quite a learning experience. And yeah, it's so hard for us as originators, I think, if we're not going into a conversation aware of this, right?
Right.
We tend to default to, I'm going to dump on this person. Yeah, I can do this. I can do that. I can do this. I can do that. I got this and I got that. I got this. I got that.
Yeah, yeah,
And then
yeah.
it's really not that great of a conversation. But if you get a chance, go back and watch last week's because
Yeah, it was great.
we broke that down really in fine detail and how to
Mhm.
really approach a conversation and how
And if you
impactful it
fix
was.
that, you'll
Yeah,
fix a third of the reason why they may be ghosting you. And today we're
right.
going to talk about number two. And what number two is a
Yeah,
big one too,
yeah,
is you have a
exactly.
meeting with a great qualified agent. You feel like there's sparks flying and man, it was a great conversation. I think this would be a great fit. And then all of a sudden crickets. What do you think that what do you think that's from?
Well, here's the thing. One thing we have to understand is when we're doing, let's say we really did have a great conversation, right? And
Yeah.
our initial
Yeah.
meeting, it was wonderful, and let's say it went along like we talked about last week, like, hey man, I was really just interested in them. They felt it was a great conversation. They even suggested, yes, let's continue to converse and that type of a thing. And then we're
Yeah.
following up and we feel like, wow, I've called for 4 weeks and they've never
Yeah.
answered. And, they must not like me. They must not like me. And so that's why they're quote unquote ghosting me,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? And, yeah, let's dissect this, Steve, because one thing that we have to understand is, you know, these people are producing agents. They're busy, right? They've got things going on. And here's the truth. Maybe they just couldn't pick you up, right? Maybe they just
Yeah.
couldn't talk to you at 9 a.m. You know what I mean? You don't know
Right.
what's going on, right? Heck,
Yeah.
we had one person on the Breakfast Club when we were talking about this who felt like they were being ghosted, only to learn that the person was on like a sabbatical for 4 weeks, was gone, wasn't even around,
Mm-hmm.
didn't know the person
Yeah.
was doing that. The
Yeah.
person wasn't even around,
Yeah.
was intentionally not working, intentionally not picking up anybody's call. So I mean, things like that genuinely do happen, right? You never know. You don't know what's going on in people's lives, but don't assume, that it's they don't like you,
Right.
and they're quote unquote ghosting you. That's probably not the case in reality. But there are great tips that we can share, Steve, as far as a good way to follow up. And when we do
Yeah.
get them on the phone, what we talk
Yeah.
about and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Let's explore
Hey,
that a
well,
little.
well, here, like even as you're talking, let me bring some perspective too. Remember this: your past experience is what frames your future expectation. And so, if you've had a singular bad experience where it's like they ghost me and all of your thoughts start running wild, what I want to encourage you is this: look, even to a warm audience, when you make an outbound call, over 60% don't even answer.
Right.
And that's to a warm audience. So if you do a cold audience, we know it's 75% don't answer.
Mm.
And part of why, and we talk a lot about this in my 8-week virtual boot camp, when you know when you know the numbers, it alleviates all the emotion because here's what I'm doing. Now, I'm not saying, well, nobody's going to answer, but when I make 100 outbound calls, Frank, I already know 75 aren't going to answer if it's to a
Right.
less than warm audience,
Yeah.
and 60% won't answer if it's even a warm audience. So all I'm
Mm.
doing is just preparing my great voicemails. And it's the
Mm.
same way every time. Frankie, Steve, Kyles. Hey, I loved our conversation last week. I'm sitting here reflecting. It's probably the highlight of my week. Monday, just wanted to check in, see if you worked or played. Maybe you were at an open house. Maybe you had a lot of fun. Would love to connect. And remember this, if you've got anybody this week that needs to get pre-approved, make sure to give me a call. I'd love to help. Make sure it's a good use of your time. Call me back, Steve Kyles, 832-449-2915.
Mm, mm,
But something of that nature.
mm.
But what happens is you already know the majority of your calls are going to voicemail. And
Right.
I'm not, what happens is if my expectation is, well, why didn't they answer? And they're never
Mm,
answering and nobody's
mm,
answering.
mm.
Here's what's interesting is our data shows that over 12 weeks of follow up, and that's what number two is, that there's weak or no follow up, maybe the reason why they're ghosting you.
Mhm.
And and so what we find is that if you'll be consistent in week one, in week two, in week three, don't get in your head and say, well, they haven't answered since we met a month ago. No,
Yeah.
our data shows it's about 5.7 weeks
Yeah.
before they begin to respond. I was telling you, I think yesterday or the day before, I had a similar experience. I had an agent, I think it was 6 weeks in. I'd been following up, and in my head, I'm like, oh, he's never going to refer me. And this is a guy that used to refer me.
Yeah.
Then, literally a week ago, doesn't even call, sends me a text for over $1 million deal and says,
Right.
these are great friends of mine. Call them. We're making an offer this afternoon.
Need the approval letter to this
Yeah.
afternoon.
And I
Yeah,
said,
like
brother, on a
not even
million,
a conversation, a
no, no,
text
just
message.
text me.
Oh, hey
Yeah.
Steve, yeah, I got this deal. They need approval letter this afternoon.
And
Thanks.
all the, and in your mind, you're sitting here like, I'm sitting at 8 weeks saying, I'm about to take Scott off my list.
Right.
Like my man's
Right.
not like, and you start rolling and playing all of these things in your mind. And what I want to encourage you is this, like, here's what I wrote down. A no answer is to be expected. Why? Because the data shows most people aren't going to answer. The power is in the consistency week over week through voicemail. Number three is this: you're breaking a realtor's habit. See, we think,
Right.
oh man, I met with them, great call, but here's the problem. And there's no problem, but here's what you have to better understand. They've had relationships they've worked with, albeit dysfunctional relationships. I had a bunch of realtor calls, appointments this week, Frank. Listen to this. I had, I think it was five on Monday alone. And there were at least three of them that said, my lender's okay, they're good enough.
Mm.
Like I'm just telling you, they were not exceptional, and
Yeah.
they were
They're
like,
just good enough.
they're good enough. One of them even said, you started off with a bang. Used to do great follow up. And she just said, the reason I took this call is I'm open to another conversation. You know
Wow.
what? The realtor used to be really good. I know the lender. And they're
Mm.
like, but I just don't hardly hear from him anymore. It's been okay. But here's the challenge we've got to remember in our mind. Even though it's been okay, okay habitually was better than nothing else.
Right.
So what we've got to do is now the onus is on me. So guess what? Met with them on Monday, send an immediate great text, part of our 12-week follow-up campaign,
Hmm. Hmm.
which by the way, if you go to freedomplanningcall.com, we got a two-page document. Frank, I just gave, like I did my 8-week virtual boot camp, and yesterday that was part of what we went through. It's remarkable. It literally is, I met with the agent, here was the follow-up text. Here's the letter to write in a handwritten note. Here's the
Mm.
email to follow up with on Friday. Here's what you call on Monday in a follow-up email, as well as the next 12
Mm.
weeks.
Hmm.
And there's a
And on
schmooze
for
gift.
12 weeks.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
schmooze gift. I'm like, it's so silly. It's plug and play.
Yeah.
But
And
what
everything's there. Yeah, I love that.
Oh yeah. Well, so go to freedomplanningcall.com, tell them you want the 12-week follow-up. But number two is there's weak or no follow-up because we think, oh, they're ghosting me. Nope. They're likely not to answer. Our commitment to connection and communication is helping break a habit they've had for months or years.
Hmm.
And remember this, a process to prospect, and I love this, wins over emotion. Hey there, if you're loving the tips so far, make sure to hit that subscribe button and tap the bell so you never miss out on more cool free tips coming your way. I'd also love to hear from you. Make sure to drop a comment below and let me know what you think, or what it is you want to see next. And we'll see you on the inside. See you.
Mm.
And I think we've got to take the emotion out of it to where it's like they're ghosting me. They may not like me. Maybe I said something, and just run the play, because when you know the math, if you meet with 10 agents, Frank, here's what's going to happen. It's what we see. A decent average conversion is 2 out of 10 agents you meet with will start working with you.
Yeah.
If you get really good with your follow up, your handwritten card, your text, your email, your consistent phone calls, we see 3 or 4 out of 10. But
Mm,
it really just depends on your consistency. And somebody who's just barely getting it is 1 out of 10. But
right.
somewhere I would say 2 to 3 out of 10 you meet with will actively refer you if you'll just follow up. So
Mm,
when I know the numbers, it's okay. I'm going to meet with 10, get 2 or 3 on a great month or a great week. I may get 4. But it's just a numbers game, not an emotion game. That's why the process is spin the wheel. Qualified agents, you meet with them, then we do our 12-week follow up. And in doing that consistently over time, your business will explode. I mean,
yeah.
just to put it in perspective, if you're wanting to close, and here's what's remarkable, an additional 6 loans a month, you only need 12 qualified agent relationships
Right. To
that
do this
refer you
process, to
24
work with this
relational leads.
process. Yeah.
Yeah, and keep in mind this, every qualified agent that starts working with me is worth $36,000.
Yeah.
And so it's not difficult, but in the realtors ghosting me, number one, when we meet with them, we got to, and we talked about last week, don't over talk and don't just pitch with products, programs, and turn times.
Yeah.
Number two is once we meet with them, if we've got to have a great consistent follow-up plan. You don't even have to design it. We've designed
Mm,
it. We'll give it to
yeah.
you.
Yeah.
freedomplanningcall.com.
And the thing about the follow up plan that's really cool is I know a lot of real mortgage loan officers, they struggle with if they don't have the follow up plan, the actual
Yeah.
plan, they totally see the light in, okay, I have to be consistent in following up. But they
Yeah.
worry about when I do follow up, what do I say? How, is
Yeah.
it just, am I just saying, hi, got a loan?
Yeah.
And it's not that. I do tell you, but
Hey,
that's
but let me
better
say
than,
this. If you just called and said, "Hi, you got a loan," would be better than not
that's
calling.
what I was just going to say.
I
I was,
mean,
that's
it's
better
not
than
the best
nothing.
thing to say, but it's better
Right.
than not saying.
Right, right. It's better than nothing, and it does, and that'll still work, right? But we're gonna feel like, man, I wish I could offer something, and it is cool to have something, when you call maybe a script, a marketing idea,
Hey, Frank,
a
can I say
post.
something? They don't
Yeah,
want anything. They don't want
yeah,
anything.
I
No,
know.
I mean, we think, well, if I could give them something, you know what you have that they want?
What?
And listen, I swear, excuse me. We just think it has to be so complicated. Every agent conversation I'm having, Frank, and it's just mind blowing how important it is to them. They want you to close their loans on time.
Yeah,
They want you to communicate when you got a loan in process because they have genuinely,
consistently.
they
Right,
have no idea what's going on. I talked
right.
to some of my agents last week and they're like, I got one of my, Daryl Charbula, one of my great agents. He's like, bro, we're closing tomorrow and I can't even get the loan officer to call me back.
Right.
And I'm like, Daryl is a I mean, he's a qualified agent
Like a
over at Weichert,
killer
one of their,
agent. Yeah,
yeah. And I'm like, bro, these guys are nuts. Three things: they want you to close on time, communicate
communicate.
in process, and when they give you a lead, just follow up and
Follow up and communicate with
touch the
them.
lead, touch the partner. I
Yeah, yeah. Let
promise
them
you,
know what's
Frank,
going on. Yeah,
they don't want your gadget. They don't want your gadget. They
yeah,
don't want like we offer awesome tools like MoveTube, but that's not the first thing. I
yeah.
promise this, if your first conversation, you hear about them, listen, hear their story, go deeper, build a relationship. At the end, you just say, "Hey, listen, what I'm known for is," and I'm going to tell you exactly what I say, Frank. Hey, you know what? I've loved hearing your story. And I think it's only fair in the next 3 to 5 minutes we have left. I just tell you a little bit about myself.
Mm,
I talk about my journey, that this is a calling. I feel like God called me into the mortgage business. My top priorities is I believe that family is a priority. I believe that we're called to make a difference in this industry, and mortgages are widgets. But you know what's exciting? What I'm known for, Frank, is, and here's what I love: helping
mm,
my agent partners make more money.
mm,
And we do that by a couple of things. Number one, we close loans on time.
mm.
Number two, we communicate, which removes chaos and gives your client a great experience. Number three, we're going to follow up on your leads, like my dear friend says, like green on a pickle.
There
And
you
what
go.
that means is you give me a lead, we understand speed to the lead,
Mm,
we understand touch the lead, communicate with our partners.
hmm.
And that way you're never left in the dark. And then I got a 9 step follow up. We're going to call, voicemail, text, email until
Yeah.
we get them to convert. But here's how we make our partners more money. Every time I talk to your client, I'm going to ask them, do you have any friends, family, or coworkers looking to buy, sell, or refinance? And Mr. and Mrs. Realtor, you know what we find? And out of 13 warm conversations, we're getting about 2 relational
Mm.
referrals.
That we can hand back to you.
Yeah. And I
Hmm.
mean, I know that's, but all of that is real simple, but you know what? And here's another intoxicating word that man, just they start going ding, ding, ding. Hey, Frank, one of the things that I pride ourselves with is that we have a process to prospect.
Mm.
That one phrase
Mm.
will change your conversation, because when you're talking to a professional that's
Hmm.
qualified, hey, I kid you not, I'm always blown away. Like I was talking to one, they're doing almost 30 buy side transactions a year. And I said, tell me about your week. What does it look like prospecting? He said, I start at 7 and I finish at 9 prospecting
Mm.
every day.
Yeah, that's a superstar right there.
Well, but do you like they love that stuff
Yeah,
because
they
the
that if
ones that
that's
are
what they
winning,
do, they hear that's what you do. They go, "This is a match." This
yeah.
is a match. This guy gets it.
He's like, dude, there's no magic. He said, I work, but I literally start prospecting Monday through Friday, 7 to 9, and then I hit the streets at 9 a.m.
Mm.
And I'm like,
Yeah,
dude, you're a champ. He's
yeah,
doing
that's a
what we're
champ.
doing.
Mm.
And that's why there's such a connection. And we think we got to have all these widgets. Nope. You got to meet with them one and then have a follow-up process number two consistently over time, and you'll stand out head and shoulders above the rest.
Hmm. Our follow up plan is really in line with that too, because it's just making sure you follow up the right way
Right.
and following up with the right things to say, and just really staying in touch with them and just doing the little extra little things
That
that
nobody
kind of
else is
just that
doing.
that nobody else
Nobody is.
does and just
Yeah.
kind of pops out to them. It's like, okay,
Yep.
there's something unique going on here. There's something special going on here. So yeah,
100%, man.
freedom planning call would be where to go to
Yeah,
learn more about that.
freedomplanningcall.com. We'll
Yeah.
give it to you. It's our gift. Hey, what a
Yeah.
great episode. And listen, we're going to do the mistake number 3 on our next episode. So
Hmm.
you guys hang out. We'll catch that this next week. But if you didn't hear last week's episode, listen to it. Hey, if you're not going to the Breakfast Club, this is where a lot of our conversations are starting. So go to breakfastclub.com. What a great way to start our morning. And with that, guys, we will see you soon. See you.
That's right. And before I say adios, it's to be clear, it's loanofficerbreakfastclub.com.
Oh,
Loanofficerbreakfastclub.com.
my
Want to
bad.
make sure you get to the right place. All right, we'll see you guys later. Adios.
See you.